What happens when Jack Kirby's forgotten heroes living on borrowed time return to face the fallout from Darkseid's disappearance? Let's talk about it in this video. Hello, everyone. Dan here from the Next Issue podcast. Today, we are diving into Challengers of the Unknown 2025, a bold five-issue miniseries that brings one of the DC's oldest adventure teams back into the spotlight. And let me tell you why this cosmic sci-fi revival is definitely worth your time. So, before I get into it, I just want to really quickly touch on who are the Challengers of the Unknown, because before this, I really had not read much. I love the idea that DC is grabbing a lot of these like heroes that are a little bit more unknown, no pun intended, like Resurrection Man and Challengers, like bringing them back into the spotlight, using this all-in era to kind of fold them back into continuity and make new audiences aware of who they are. Originally created in 1957 by Jack Kirby, the Challengers of the Unknown are a team of adventurers who survived the plane crash, and from there, they decided they were living on borrowed time. The classic lineup includes Ace Morgan, who's a fearless pilot, Red Ryan, who's a daredevil thrill seeker, Professor Haley, the intellectual scientist, Rocky Davis, who is a tough former wrestler, and June Robbins, the gifted scientist, who later became a core member of the team and somebody who's very important in this specific series. They predate the Justice League era by a few years in the Silver Age with their weird, like kind of like weird science adventures. They are pulp explorers who dive headfirst into mysteries of the universe. So it's a really fun combination of these are just regular people who do extraordinary things, very similar to a first family of Marvel that might have had its own movie. So I think having a Challengers of the Unknown film would be something that would be just completely out of the blue, but I think very, very cool. So maybe I'll send out a little message out into the world, maybe tag James Gunn, because I think having Challengers of the Unknown in a movie universe would be really cool. Now, this 2025 series modernizes the team, but it also stays true to the central theme of these are ordinary people confronting the extraordinary because every day could be their last. This is written by Christopher Cantwell, who I've talked about a lot on the channel. Most recently, writer of Iron Man, Doctor Doom, and very heavily involved in everything that's going on right now with the DC All In, DC KO, Darkseid, everything that's going on. So we have pencils by Sean Izaakse with some guest art spots by Jorge Fernandez and Amanke Nawalpan, colors by Romulo Fajardo Jr., letters by Troy Peteri. This is all part of the DC All In, exploring the cosmic upheaval in the DCU after the events of Absolute Power and DC All In #1 special. So we have videos for that on the channel, so you can go check those out. Overall, I really, really like this kind of like pulp hero meets the current Justice League. They weave in the characters in what it feels to me a very natural spot. They touch on a lot of very dark themes. They explore a lot of like a wide range of emotions that these challengers are kind of living through every day, and even some behaviors that seem just counterproductive as part of the team, especially when it comes to some members of the Justice League. Looking at you, Mr. Terrific. I know you had a great summer with your movie, but kind of messed up everything you did on this series. But each challenger kind of pairs up with a Justice League member throughout some of the issues as the mystery and the drama kind of builds up. And I think that's just a really fun idea. Um, when it comes to the art, I think there's some really cool stuff. Like I said, they modernized the team. They look great. But one of my favorite touches, one of my favorite little things that they included is that because the challengers were the team that was kind of in charge of these missions, the Justice League member that would come along with them would pair up and wear a purple suit because that is kind of the outfits that the challengers were. So we get to see Superman in a purple suit. We get to see Batman in one of my favorite panels, probably as he kind of dives into the water with June, but he's wearing the purple Challenger suit. Green Lantern also wears a purple suit. which is feels a little weird, but I mean it is what's happening. And as I mentioned, the book just explores the themes of life, death, this cosmic mystery. It's really really cool, and it really dives into a lot of different layers. There are like a little bit touches of kind of horror in some of the issues. As the mystery kind of evolves, of course, you start thinking like, what's going on? I think issue 2, which is the Batman team up with June, is one of my favorites. And then, of course, there's some really cool big revelations. We get to meet their giant robot that had been kind of out of commission. It's very interesting. I think the book does such a good job at giving you all the information you need about who the challengers are prior to all this, that when you do meet them in the current story, you realize, how interesting some of these things can be, and maybe you want to even dig back into their past. Hopefully they'll remain a stay sake of the DC universe going forward. I think they work very well at keeping the Justice League grounded and also kind of calling them out when they're doing the things the wrong way. So real quick, I'm gonna go into a very spoiler light uh, talk about each of the issues. In the first issue, we introduce the challengers who are now working alongside the Justice League. They're investigating these different rifts from the Watchtower, right? Each of the issues kind of spotlights a little bit of that investigation, these dark side zones that they have designated, where there's some kind of weird energy. In the second issue, as I mentioned, June faces off against the creation of the robot Ultivac, which has a lot of questions when it comes to death. And when you think about death in the DC universe, Darkseid is going to be tied along with that. Next, we see Prof Haley teaming up with the Atoms and confronting the Optimum, who is a futuristic intelligence with a very cool reveal. Issue number 4, Red Ryan joins Hal Jordan to explore a sentient asteroid. So like just all these really weird concepts. And then on the finale, we get to see Rocky and Wonder Woman take the center stage as they try to figure out everything that's going on. Like I said, I think if I were to name an antagonist in this, I would call Mr. Terrific kind of the antagonist, only because he approaches what's happening to the challengers in a very I feel like a way that it doesn't help the situation. If anything, it's just making things worse. But I think Christopher Cantwell writing that line of like, who's in the right, who's in the wrong, or maybe nobody is, and they all kind of just need to work together to figure this out. I think the issue 5 with Rocky exploring some of the deeper themes of this and kind of the resolution that comes from that is very cool. So yeah, there's a lot of really great, fun, and interesting moments in this. So I really enjoy this. I hope that we get to see this team again. I'm also very much looking forward to see what the creative team can do going forward here. Christopher Cantwell, as I mentioned, is going to be involved in some of the DCKO stuff going on in the future. We talked about it on our previous live where we had a little bit of a bracket trying to figure out who we think is going to be the winner of that DCKL tournament for the Omega powers to confront Darkseid. And we realized that Christopher Cantwell's name is on some of those tie-in issues. So if you want to check this out, highly recommend it. You can read all of it in the DC Infinite app, or you can check out the trade paperback, which is coming out the week that this video was released. So make sure to go check it out at your bookstore, your local comic shop. Now, how does this all fit into the DC universe? This is all tied directly into the DC All In initiative, following the cosmic fallout from Darkseid's disappearance that we saw in the DC All In special. The challengers act as these on the ground investigators, right? Giving us more of a human street level kind of point of view into these cosmic shenanigans, which I think it's very good for the reader because obviously there's not a lot of relatability when it comes to maybe the way that Superman would approach something like this. And it's just a very, very smart storytelling choice to reintroduce the challengers without actually having to reboot the series and keeping them relevant in this new continuity. It's a very strong revival of DC's most overlooked teams. Like I mentioned, they've been kind of digging into really the bottom of what I would think would be the relevant heroes and trying to bring a lot of that old school sci-fi adventure type of story back, but modernizing it, and also just confronting it with themes of that are more relevant. So if you're a fan of Justice League Times, if you're a fan of Jack Kirby and history, or you just want a book that feels different from the standard Cape Comics, I think this is the one that you want to check out. So if you want to find out if the Challengers of the Unknown are still relevant in 2025, I think this series makes a very strong case that they are. But what do you think? Did the creative team really succeed in reviving DC's boldest adventurers? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And if you enjoyed this review, make sure to hit like, subscribe for more comic book breakdowns, reviews, and check out a playlist of all the stuff that we have on the channel. So until next time, keep exploring the unknown and make sure to stay tuned because we have a lot of really fun stuff coming up. Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye bye.